Okay, so this video here, guys, I'm going to show you how to separate an image from the background. So as we saw in some of those examples in class the other day, it can be nice oftentimes to just separate an image. So here I want to separate just the skateboarder guy and a skateboard from the background of this. Like I don't want any of this background. So this is just an image I got from the internet. So that's fine to use pictures from the internet. If you have images to use yourself, that will always be better because of copyright issues. And you know it's going to be high resolution. When you do get images from the internet, so I just did a Google search here for images, skateboarder, pretty simple. Make sure here you're grabbing large images. You don't want medium or any size. So it's harder to find these large 300 dpi images on the internet. So it will take a little bit more looking, but this will help you to narrow it down as you're working that way. So we want only the large ones. So then as I grab that image, I'm not sure where that one went. So you can, it'll also tell you the size of the image here, which is useful. So that's going to be a pretty good size image. So I'll just do save image as, save it to the desktop. And then here's that one that I just got. Here's the one I'm currently working on. So always check, go to image size. So this one is 7 by 5 inches and it's that 300 dpi. So you want to be around 300 dpi. It's going to be easier to work with and it's going to look better once you display that. Alright, so I'm going to just, I want to select this guy and then remove him from the background. Okay. So to select things, I use these lasso tools. So there's a number of different tools here, types of lassos. So this one you can just draw whatever you want. The polygonal lasso tool does all straight lines. Okay, and this magnetic lasso tool will stick close to what it is lassoing. So here it will be able to kind of stick between, and it follows along that line where it can tell the color of pixels as you're doing that. So I usually do section by section, and then to complete a selection you just double click. So I double click there and then that completes the selection. That works with any of these selection tools. So here's the other lasso tool. Oh, that one you don't really need to do the double click. For the polygonal lasso tool. So once I want to end it, I just double click and that ends it. If for some reason your lasso tool is not working right, make sure this little box right here is selected. This just means you can add on to your current selection. Add to selection, yeah. So this, if this box is checked, it will just start a new selection every time you draw. So you don't want that. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going with this here and just kind of show you how I use these lasso tools. So as I started this one, I'm finding this magnetic one is working pretty well. So I'll also click down and it creates one of those little anchor points each time I do that. And no selection is ever going to be exactly perfect. Just get it as close as you can. Zooming in is going to help. Got some lag going on here. But the thing, whatever you're trying to isolate from the background or select on its own, if you can find an image that has good kind of color contrast or value contrast. So right now this is pretty good because the guy's in mostly black and darker colors, darker values against a lighter background. So the image I chose is already making this a little easier. If you ever take your own pictures, you can control those things. So I'm just using mostly this magnetic one. It's finding the edge, so there it messed up a little bit pretty well here as I'm working. So I'll just try and get this guy and then I'll show you. Alright, we got a mess up. So Control Z is always a good tool. Control Z for undo. I'm sure all you guys know that one. So this is doing a good job of staying close to the edge of my selection. So I will, those few places where it's not exactly perfect, I'll show you guys how to go back and we'll clean those up closer towards the end. See, like up here in the hair, it's tricky. Along the edge of his black shirt is the easiest. The lasso tool can tell exactly where to put that edge. All right, so now we are, another mess up there. So now we have the entire guy selected here. So there's a few little parts where I didn't get it quite right here along the shoe, some of these fingers, right here on the leg. So a good way to clean it up is down here, the quick mask mode. So I'm not sure if anyone has used this before, but this is a nice way, again, just to manipulate selection. So when I click that, now this has everything in red that is not selected and everything in full color that is selected. So I can just take my brush tool, B for my brush tool, a little small. So let's say I do something just like this. So that when you're in this quick mask mode, you'll automatically color with red. Let's go back. So that then affects my selection. So that part is no longer selected. So I don't want that. I want to go here and clean up some of these edges. So here along this shoe. So now I switch to my eraser tool. And I want to erase just this little bit here, right around the shoe. So this is just another way. I could do this with the lasso tools as well. But this is kind of just a nice way to go in and make sure you're getting exactly those pixels selected that you want to be in that selection. So I'm just switching back and forth here between, I got my eraser now, my brush tool. Where was that one? That was right here on the leg. So eraser tool to get rid of that little bit. Brush tool to get in these little cracks here along the folds of the clothes. Eraser tool to get that edge cleaned up a little. Brush tool here to fill that in. So depending on what my use for this was, I would spend a lot of time cleaning this up and getting it exactly perfect. Let's just do the skateboard while we're at it here. So you can do an entire selection like this if you want to. I got some weird lag going on my computer right now. So I'm not going to be very careful with this. We'll just do this to finish this off so we can have both the skateboarder and his board. As you can see, this is not very perfect, but that's fine for this example. All right. And then we'll get out of that quick mask mode just down here. There we go. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll just hit Control X for cut, Control V for paste, and turn that off. So now we have this guy isolated from the background, and this can be a nice way to insert these into a different file. So what is also a good thing to do, has anyone ever used PNG files? So those are a nice type of file basically where the background is transparent. So I can place this into then an Illustrator document and the background will be transparent. So let's save this as a PNG file. Save as, Photoshop, we want PNG. We'll call it Skater. PNG, save it to the desktop. Okay, let's make sure this works here. Okay, here's my PNG file, just the skateboarder. Again, these edges aren't super clean. I would spend a little bit more time cleaning up these edges if I was to do this for like a finalized presentation. So then when I drop it in here, as you can see, that background's transparent. So just the just the white part's transparent, so just the skater is showing now. So this can be a really nice way. This is now something that I can put into Illustrator, put it into the advertisement image, the business card. But those PNG files are really good for that if you want the background to be transparent and just have the image show. You can also search for PNG files. So what happens if you go skateboarder PNG? So they have some here that are already isolated from the background, but you just have less options to choose from. There's all sorts of PNG files, so you can do anything. So sailboat PNG. So these would all be the same thing. So you can try searching for these. These would be just isolated images with no background. There's usually just less options there, so it's easier to make your own PNGs to get them exactly what you like. But you can try to search for those PNGs, and they will work sometimes.